Are we doing it in Welsh or not?
This is Rain Comes Soon, written by Sharony Green. Forgive us if we mangle any accents. Fade in, exterior, Miami Beach, ocean, dusk. The ocean and shoreline of South Beach is seen. Sunbathers on and off the beach enjoy the scenery. Exterior, Miami, downtown, dusk. Miami's eclectic skyline is seen now. Towering skyscrapers appear in interesting shapes. Of particular interest is a post-war building by a bay. A newsroom is inside of it. Interior newsroom, dusk. Sissy Cooper, an African-American woman, 20s, with braided hair, types quickly on a computer. She logs off and grabs her purse. Stan Walters, a white man, 40s, approaches.
Finished.
Off to your Creole class?
Yep.
Getting that second language.
Hey, I had Spanish all through grade school.
Señora Rodriguez is kazoo and como estás bien y usted? Sing-song doesn't count.
Sissy rolls her eyes with a grin and waves goodbye. Exterior, Little Haiti, dusk. Colourful buildings with a signage in Creole are seen. Going in and out of them are Black people. Exterior, Toussaint Louverture Elementary School, dusk. And a school on a tree-lined road bears the name of Toussaint Louverture, a leader in the Haitian Revolution. Older Black students enter this school. Interior, car, dusk. Sissy pulls into a parking space in front of the school. She grabs her notebook and rushes into the building, nearly knocking over a young groundskeeper, early to mid-20s.
Excuse me.
No, I never gave the groundskeeper anything. Sorry, you could be groundskeeper, John.
No worries.
He smiles good-naturedly. Interior classroom. The teacher, a short, fair-skinned Haitian man, leads his class of mostly Black students, including Sissy, in language exercise. Emma.
Oh, sorry. January.
I think we should all be class.
Okay.
Janvier.
February.
February.
March.
Mars.
Gigi Bethel, an elegantly dressed older African-American woman, leans towards Sissy's ear.
When I was at the Sorbonne, I had a classmate who looked like our teacher.
Ahem, Gigi, I know you were the state's first Negro French teacher and that you were here only to update your stellar training by learning the language of peasants, but do you care to share with the class what is more important than tonight's lesson?
I do not wish to offend, teacher, but I was just admiring your training.
Perhaps I will forgive you.
Over coffee?
Perhaps. For now, pay attention.
The class breaks into laughter. Exterior, Toussaint Louverture Elementary, night. Sissy and Gigi chat inaudibly as they walk together.
Made the teacher blush. For space.
These two laugh as they approach Gigi's car. Sissy waits until her classmate is safely inside and then heads to her own vehicle. Interior car night. Sissy turns on her car and pulls out into the street, listening to the radio.
In office, just 8 months. Jean-Bertrand Aristide, president of Haiti, has been ousted by the armed forces of Haiti. This populist priest was elected in his country's first democratic election.
Exterior, North Miami Avenue, night. Sissy approaches an intersection where a car is burning. Around it, Haitian people are raising their fists. Exterior, North Miami Avenue, night. Sissy is a payphone.
Wait, I can't hear you, Stan.
Interior newsroom, night. Stan and two other editors, one of them African-American and the other white, look at breaking news story concerning Haiti on television.
Where are you?
In North Miami Avenue and 54th Street.
Stan looks worriedly at the other editors.
She said ground zero.
Wait, what's going on?
Aristide's just been kicked out of Haiti. Those are unhappy people. Stand by.
Exterior, community center, night. Sissy takes notes in her reporter's notebook and mingles with the crowd outside the Haitian community center.
The U.S. is behind the mutiny.
President, I think I'm second Haitian man, aren't I?
Oh, sorry, you are. Yep,
Mhm.
it's my
It's
fault.
okay. President Bush just spoke downtown. How can you wish for democracy in Cuba but not Haiti? Exterior 54th Street night. Sissy now watches the crowd gather outside an insurance agency. A Haitian proprietor looks inside, looks frightened. She scribbles in a notebook. Hard rain begins to fall.
Haitian secret police, Tonto Mokte, or something like that.
Macoute.
Macoute, sorry.
Sissy feels a tap on her shoulder. It's Alan Joseph, her newspaper's photographer.
I talked to my brother in Haiti. It's crazy there too.
Can only imagine.
I'll catch up with you later.
He approaches the insurance agency with his camera out, only to look over his shoulder at Sissy's wet top.
Oh, you and this rain. Yep, a real spring break moment.
You don't want any of this, Celine?
Oh, but I do.
She waves him away.
Hey, I have a dry shirt in my car if you need it. Not that it will make much difference tonight. Unstable air rising.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherman.
Stay safe. Stan says it's going to be a long night.
Little Haiti street night. Police wearing riot gear spray tear gas on the Haitian protesters who scatter, eyes burning. Sissy runs with them, holding her eyes. The school groundskeeper sees Sissy nearly trampled on. Sissy, come! Sissy hesitates, but allows him to pull her into an alley and along the back of a building. Thunder is heard and lightning skirts across the sky. The groundskeeper opens a gate to a backyard where some of the protesters have gathered. Gabriel reaches into a tin barrel and pulls out a line. He bites into it.
Here.
Squeeze.
Squeeze.
Sorry.
You made me groundskeeper.
So the groundskeeper is called Gabrielle. That's very weird. Okay, no worries.
No?
No. I thought they were two different people. You carry on.
No, I'm just saying you made me groundskeeper earlier on.
Oh, I did? So, apologies. Carry on.
That's all right. Squeeze the juice in your eyes. They take the edge off the burning.
She does as she's told. He does the same. Thunder is heard again and next lightning. Palm leaves blow sturdily with a strong wind.
My name is Gabrielle.
Sissy,
Don't worry. You're safe.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
You've gotten too far in your classes. I said, you're safe. Home of friends.
Your neighborhood?
I'm from Boston, here for school. I work part-time at the school. You live near?
Not too far, just over the railroad tracks on 82. On the 82nd.
River. Yeah, Little River, not Little Haiti.
Little this, little that. All the same now. Why here, not Boston?
Ever survive a winter up north?
They laugh as the rain begins to fall harder.
What are you studying?
English literature.
Why?
I'd like to write a book someday. Like you. I saw the notebook. You're a journalist. I want to be a different kind of storyteller. A poet.
Let me hear some of your work.
The rain fell on their feet that only dead mothers and their babies can hear. See them run.
Dark.
Resistance is dark. Even Louverture knew that. Ready to go back out. Stories await us.
Gabrielle heads to the gate and opens it. Just as she steps through the gate, lightning strikes out and Sissy falls onto her back, eyes closed. Title over, Richmond, Virginia, 1838. Exterior, wooden shack night. The night is lit by a moon. Josie, a free African-American woman, 50, sprinkles drops of water over Agnes, an enslaved African-American woman, 20. Josie prays. Suddenly thunder is heard. Josie and Agnes are shocked to see a woman stumble from a forest.
The gods work fast.
Sissy, the woman they have seen, collapses. Josie rushes to her as clouds cover the moon, next lightning. Interior, wooden shack night. Josie wipes Sissy's face as Agnes looks worriedly between Sissy and the strong thunderstorm outside.
She's come with the rain to take you south.
Don't need no more mouse. Mr. Carter will have a fit.
You got his child. Tell him I said she is his good luck charm.
Don't look like luck to me. She wearing pants. Where'd she get off wearing pants?
Sissy opens her eyes. She pats her body, relieved her purse is still on her.
Everything's still in it. Funny looking money too. Can't make out the scribbles in your wet notebook. Something about people running?
Where am I?
Agnes shakes her head and leaves the shack. Interior farmhouse, front room, night. Sitting in a small room with basic furnishings, Frederick Carter reads a letter. Do consider making the old lady and Susan earn their keep by running a brothel. I'm sorry, I don't think I could. Oh no, it's John. John.
That old rascal Franklin.
Carter puts the letter away as Agnes enters.
Praying done?
Suddenly a knock is heard. Carter answers the door. There, an African-American boy about 9 or 10 waits with Susan, a pregnant enslaved woman in the early 20s.
Tell Mr. Patterson I thank him.
The two women's eyes meet. They immediately know the obvious. Carter has been with both of them.
You'll get to visit him. We're heading out tomorrow. Old Pat's is sending 2 of his boys over to lift the trunks. Ain't coming back. Land's overworked. No money here.
Yes, sir. Have some biscuits and ham.
Susan hesitates.
Go on. No use being shy.
If I may, sir.
No, you may not. Hush and feed her. All y'all just got on anywhere from here, so I can finish my work here.
Interior wooden shack, front room, night. Josie watches Sissy looking worriedly as rain is heard on the rooftop. And that's where it ends. Catherine, I'm going to come to you first.
Okie dokie. There were some good visuals in there. Character names need to be the same all the way through. If it's going to change, then for the audience, it needs to be, you know, for the people reading the script, it has to be constant, so we know what we're doing. On that note, I found it a little difficult to follow. It seemed a teeny bit, I don't know, I'm not quite sure why, to be honest. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it was a little confusing in places. But the characters were written quite well. I think they were pretty much well defined with the dialogue. It was obvious who was speaking when we knew what their name was. And I'd be interested to see what happens. It's quite a nice opening visual wise, but it's maybe streamlining might help it a teeny bit. But other than that, I liked it.
Thank you. John.
Where to start? We know halfway through the first 10 pages they go back in time, but we don't know when it started. So that would help. It would also help to know that Gabriel is the groundskeeper, and it would also be nice to mention that Gabriel comes from Boston. That's really going to help your act. In the same way as Carter is obviously a gentleman and a Southern gentleman. So that would help to be noted as well. It's going to help your actors bring in what's needed for the part. Unlike me speaking in Creole to find out that the guy's actually from Boston. But I enjoyed it. I really did. I can see a couple of programs, stroke films that I've seen that have been upon this line, but yeah, I'd like to see where it's going to go. I do like the interactions.
Yeah. Emma.
Yeah, I had the same thing about the opening sequence date. I think it was 1991 that Aristide was overthrown. But yeah, so we need to know that it's not the present. And I suppose the fact that she has things like notebooks rather than anything electronic helps give us some of that. But yeah, it's, if you're going to flag up the date in the back in time thing, you should flag it up, I think, for now. Formatting and page numbers is really quite hard to read when it's sort of all kind of, it's it's a bit messy visually. It'd be good to look at some, you know, some other scripts and see how they're put together, just because it's slightly, it might have just been in the translation having been sent to you. I don't know, Angela, but it just is a bit.
I think it's because it's
sorry, Emma, to clarify, do you mean visually or format wise?
I mean visually, in terms of, you know, where
what
the
it
words
looks like
are placed on the page. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, not the
I think
sort of
it's
structure of
because
it.
it's a word file rather than
that might, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes in the sending things get a bit skewish, don't they? And what else page numbers are just so useful when you're working from things. So yeah, the notes and stuff. I really liked the intriguingness of her seeming to fall through a hole in time. I liked that. I found that interesting, and I thought, you know, what's going to happen next? She seems to be in a sort of underground railway type scenario, doesn't she, possibly, when she's gone back? And you think, oh, that's quite interesting. And there's 2 different time zones, and none of them is today, so that there's an interesting aspect of that. But I was slightly concerned about, I mean, I think perhaps picking up on what Catherine said about, you know, there's something a bit like not quite there. I think there are lots, I really like languages. I'm learning lots of languages because I really enjoy them. But I'm a bit concerned about whether people will feel a bit jumbled by having so many, because if we've got French and we've got Spanish and we've got Creole and we've got English, and whether lots of different things in subtitles might be a little bit, you know, I don't know whether that will be a problem for people or not. But yeah, I felt kind of like almost like a barrage of different languages, which might be fun. But is it going to carry on like that, or will it sort of simplify? Who knows? But yeah, I wanted to know what happened next. So that's always a good feeling.
Thanks, brilliant. Erin.
I agree with everything everybody said. I found like I couldn't put my finger on like what was exactly confusing about it, but I think that I love a good time travel movie, but I think that in there was some confusing stuff too. Just the way that like it was explained, and then we see Sissy like later in it, and then I don't know kind of understand where she goes, like, and sometimes I'm not exactly sure who they're talking about in that part. But I definitely like think it's super interesting and intriguing, and I want to know what's going to happen next. Like how
confusing,
it all
you
ties
can't
together.
tell if they're inhabiting themselves as a time traveler or somebody else in the past, or they've just got their POV or something. It's not explained, so it's a bit difficult to follow.
Yeah.
Who hasn't had a go? Catherine?
No, I was the first and only one.
Yeah. Simon, any thoughts?
I think it's just a case of one of those scripts that's really difficult to cold read, because there's so many characters, there's so many changes in location. Like you say, there's like, you know, the little snippets, and there's a little snippet. So to cold read it, it's really quite difficult to follow. But something tells me that if we all went away and read it a couple of times, then there'd be some magic in there. I feel like there's something in there that's really intriguing. I just found it hard to follow, one, for the reasons that I've mentioned, and I think 2, because a lot of the characters are very different to the people that we've got in this room here. So none of us would ever be cast as these roles. And, you know, when we're, you know, trying to portray these characters, and that sometimes kind of jars a little bit with, you know, the authenticity of the characters. So it's hard to follow on that sense as well. I think if we read it again, I think that we'd get more out of it. But for a cold read, it's quite a difficult one to judge.
True. Thank you. Yeah, I think there's clearly a really intriguing story in this. And I think at the moment, as we've all said, it's just hampered slightly by the formatting and some very minor things which are relatively easy to put right. There is also some sort of jarring way of describing things. And I'm just going to point those out only insofar as it will definitely help the writer to give it a little bit more flow. And it's easiest to show it on page 1, where it says the ocean and the shoreline of South Beach is seen. And I've noticed that the writer uses this is seen, are seen several times. You don't need that, because just by the dint of saying the ocean and the shoreline of South Beach, you know what you're looking at. And that's what the camera is going to be looking at. Sunbathers on and off the beach, enjoy the scenery is great. Miami's eclectic skyline is seen now. You don't need that, because you've not only got a scene heading, exterior Miami, downtown, you just literally need Miami's eclectic skyline. You know, that's enough to do it. And you don't need to know that there's a newsroom inside a post-war building at the bay, because are we going to go into that newsroom at some point? We don't. We do actually go into that newsroom.
Just next, yeah.
But I don't think we need to know that. I think it's a hard one. It's the wrong place to put it. Let's put it that way. A newsroom is inside of one. What you really need to say is exterior Miami, downtown, dusk, establishing, or to establish. And that way, the inference is that when you go inside that building, interior newsroom, you in your head, you've gone, oh yeah, that was the building. It's just these are minor things that you do in scripts, really. At the bottom, again, colourful buildings with signage in Creole are seen. Again, you don't need that are seen. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, don't worry, and do that. Other than that, yeah, page number is really important. And the other thing to do is if you're going to use Word rather than Final Draft or Fade In or one of the other programs that will paginate it for you, you have to remember to put in your page numbers, but also you have to remember to put continued and continues at the bottom. So continued at the bottom of a scene that hasn't ended, and then continues at the top to continue that scene. And then if you've got dialogue that's carrying on around a page, usually you then also get more at the end of the dialogue, so the actors know that that's a continuing speech. So these are like little minor things that a program, an app specifically built for writing scripts will help you with, because it'll do all that automatically and you don't have to think about it then. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you so much.
Words should be banned.